On this video, we're talking about the importance of recovery for runners over the age of 50. So if you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, how important is recovery in order to run to the best of your ability? My name is Brad. I'm from CoachParry.com, where we help you become fitter, faster, and stronger. And I'm joined today by our head coach and the creator of the Fast to Beyond 50 training framework, Lindsay Parry, to talk about all things recovery. Lindsay, we're talking recovery for the over 50 runner, and recovery in general for all athletes is important, but it becomes even more important as we get older. Why is recovery so important once we're in our 50s, 60s and beyond?
Yes, I mean, essentially it becomes more important as we get older because recovery is actually the time when we are improving or getting better. So yes, the training provides the stimulus for our body to respond, make itself stronger, improve the physiological systems and so on. But that actual process takes place during recovery. And so if we don't allow that recovery to actually take place, then all that happens is that when we provide the next stimulus, our body's not ready for it. It's actually in a weaker position than it was before we did the previous workout. And so you start packing yourself down into a deeper and a deeper and a deeper hole. Now, the reason why recovery or focus on recovery becomes increasingly important as we get older is quite simply because as we get older, and it starts in our 30s, we are losing strength slowly but surely. So we are already in a position where, without realizing it, because we are accustomed to training in a certain way, doing workouts at a certain pace, doing things the way that we are used to doing them, in short, we are already placing our bodies in a place where we are asking them to work harder than our bodies did in our youth. So because of that, we're actually doing more damage than we did in the past. It starts to become obvious in the 50s and then particularly in the 60s because we start to feel tired all the time. We wonder why we can't do what we used to be able to do. And we can still perform close to the level that we used to if we provide that recovery. So if we allow for sufficient recovery and give ourselves bigger gaps between our workouts, then we can still allow our bodies to adapt, respond, repair, improve like it used to. It does just need a little bit more time. And yes, age will win. We will get slower, but we will get slower at seconds per kilometer rather than at minutes per kilometer, especially on race day. So in training, we may feel like we're much slower than we used to be, and that might erode confidence. But if we train correctly and we allow the recovery, and that's really key, we allow the recovery, when we get to race day, we actually lose very little. Slowly but surely we lose, but we lose very little instead of losing chunks of time and being miles behind where we used to be.
Lindsay, it took me a long time to actually realize this. And I'm going to take this a step back because I really don't want to gloss over this. But I always thought, and I think a lot of people think this, that you actually are becoming a better athlete during your training. So that's why it's important to push hard in your training sessions and work hard. But let me just really sort of unscience this. What you're saying is you actually get stronger after the training session. It's not what you're doing in this training session. It's how your body recovers and rebuilds itself after training. I mean, am I hitting the nail on the head there and explaining that properly?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the science changes, but I'm going to go into some. But I mean, effectively, there are improvements that happen in our neural system. There are improvements that happen in how and when muscles contract. There are improvements that happen to the actual structure of the muscles that allow us to be stronger and faster. And there are changes that happen on a physiological level. So depending on what type of training we're doing, whether it is interval training, whether it's a recovery type of session, or whether it's an endurance type of session, that will cause a systemic failure of sorts. So either your muscles won't be able to respond in the way that your body would like to, so it can't quite meet the demand of that exercise, or the delivery of oxygen and or energy substrate, there's a failure there, or there's a failure in your muscle's ability to generate enough ATP, which is ultimately the spark. I mean, that's the little electricity that allows all the magic to happen. But somewhere in that chain, there's a failure, or you get close enough to failure that your body goes, whoa, that was too close for comfort. There's some changes that I need to make. But those changes happen between exercise, and we need to allow and afford our body the opportunity to make those changes. I mean, it would be, if we equate it to building a house, if you need to move into that house too quickly and you put so much pressure on the builder that he goes, yes, I need to take some shortcuts somewhere, I'm only going to put cement on every second brick. So now when you move into the house is there, it's been painted over and it looks lacquer, but it's only going to take something minor and that wall's going to fall down. You're going to be very angry with the builder, and the builder's going to be like, yes, dude, I had to do something somewhere. You didn't allow me enough time to mix enough cement and enough time to. So that's really what I'm talking about. You need enough time between workouts, that your body has enough time to do everything it needs to do, so that at the next workout, you can perform that workout much better. But because we are humans and we're constantly striving to be better, it now offers us an opportunity to do a bit more work, to put the body in the same position and then allow it to redo all those changes again.
Okay, so that begs the question, how do you know you've recovered sufficiently?
Yeah, so there are basically 3 steps that I like to look, or layers to it, that I like to use, because they are quite easy with modern technology. But the first and most obvious is, how tired do I feel? And very importantly, how sore do I feel? So if you are very fit and training for an endurance event, but you feel that your legs get really tired just from taking a flight of stairs at your office or at home, you need to figure something out around the recovery, because you're probably not quite getting it right. And obviously, physical discomfort and pain, whether during or in between workouts, I mean, that's loud and clear. Your body is not coping with your current regime, and you need to make some tweaks and changes to figure that out. Then on a slightly deeper physiological level, taking resting heart rate is super easy. You can do that every morning. You wake up, go and empty your bladder, come and lie down again for 2-3 minutes, just really get yourself calm and take your resting heart rate. Now that will be different for everybody, but yours will be fairly unique to you, and it will stabilize. If you're recovering well, it will stay. Let's say 44 is your number. It'll stay at 44. It could be 64, whatever. Then if you're not coping with your training, it'll slowly start to creep up. Sudden big jumps are very loud warning signs, but if it's starting to creep up, you need to maybe make some adjustments to how you're recovering. And then now more recently, what's become very readily available to the average person, if you've got a usable device that will measure it, is we can measure heart rate variability. It's even more sensitive than heart rate. And to try and keep this as simple as possible, heart rate variability is just the interaction between your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. Okay, so the nervous systems that cause you to be excited, and the nervous system that helps you to calm down. Now, if there's a healthy exchange between those, they essentially are doing this. One's hardly gains dominance, and then the other one, and you get these small little fluctuations where they're switching on and off, on and off, on and off, to keep everything in equilibrium. They switch off on and off fast enough that they don't really impact your overall heart rate. And then what happens when you become overstressed is you'll get dominance in one. Now, the body doesn't allow that to happen for very long periods of time. So if you've got extreme dominance in one, then the other one will fight its way back. And slowly but surely, as your body equalizes, they come back together. So now what we want is a nice wide. We want lots of interaction between the two. We don't want dominance and then one wrestles back. So low heart rate variability means that you are under stress, and high heart rate variability means everything is really, and it's much more sensitive than resting heart rate. So if you wake up today and your heart rate variability is low, again, it's a little bit more unique, but the ranges are also more general. So if your heart rate variability is in the low 40s, chances are that you need to take a rest day. If it's in the 50s and 60s, you're probably good to go and can push yourself quite hard.
If you're finding this quite interesting, this is essentially pillar one of a Faster Beyond 50 training framework that Lindsay's put together. And we're going to be hosting a masterclass about this and the other 4 pillars. If you'd like to register for it, it's free to attend. All you need to do is click on the link that's on the screen right now. You can register, and we'd love to have you on that masterclass. Lindsay, often as we get older too, it's not so much about what we're throwing into our training, it's what we're leaving out, because we shouldn't essentially be training the same way we did when we were 20 or 30, and we do need a slightly more recovery. Let's talk about the way you structure things in your training and why that's so important for recovery.
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head there in the question, right? And that is that it becomes increasingly important what we leave out, because we do know what works for us. So as an individual, if you've always responded really well to high intensity sessions, and in the 2-3 days after those high intensity sessions you feel quite good and almost energized, then you're probably a responder to high intensity. Similarly, if those sessions leave you completely man down and days to recover, you're someone who will respond better to the longer, easier types of runs. Now, we both still need both of those, but we need to structure our training slightly differently, and we need to position our rest days and what we perhaps used to do and take it out in the days after those workouts to allow us to recover. So when analyzing your program now, what you leave out is as important as what goes in, because as I explained at the start of the video, your ability to recover is compromised, and it has become no longer important but critical to allow you to still perform close to the levels that you used to perform at.
Lindsay, in that masterclass as well, we actually share the example of your dad who made this change and almost immediately bore fruit. Your dad used to be a 7-day-a-week runner and cut things back. Tell us a little bit about the change that he made and the impact it had on his running in his 50s and towards his 60s, and obviously now in his 70s still going.
Yeah, absolutely. So once he got into his 50s and I was actually capable of beating him at 30 or not even 30 years of age, he finally listened to something I had to say, and really he was running in a lot of discomfort and pain. And so when I convinced him to stop running every day and to run 4 days a week, that change was intended to just allow him to heal up while he could still do what he loved, which is running. But it bore fruit straight away. So he stopped running in pain for a start. He started to really enjoy running again. And thirdly, and most important, he just started to get better and better and better. And over the next 7 years, without adding more running in, we kept him at 4 days a week. He went on to run faster and faster every year until at 60, he was running the same times he ran when he turned 50 years old.
Don't forget, if you'd like to register for that upcoming Faster Beyond 50 masterclass, all you need to do is click on this link over here. Also, be sure to check out our most popular video for the over 50 runner over here. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking this button over here, or check out our most recent video here.